Yeah, it's on.
Okay, can everyone hear?
All right, hey everyone, let's quiet down. Please, if you're getting food, grab your food and get out, or grab your food and come sit down. Just no talking in the back so we can hear everyone. Thank you.
Hey, but grab your food and stay. That's what we're saying. Okay. So what was that? No, but I'm gonna do like an whatever. I think, right? Okay. Hey, thanks so much for staying, everyone. So I'm Heather Groom. I know most of you. As some of you know, I've been doing vacation rentals for a long time. I got involved probably about 12 years ago. I bought my first two nightly rentals in what I call the Wild West days of Airbnb. And it was when people were like, what even is Airbnb? And do you rent a couch? And what exactly is that? Okay, I'm like standing too close to there, so I'll just kind of scooch over. But anyway, so I've been involved with those for a long time. It was actually even before I was a realtor. Most people don't realize that. So I was an investor. I bought two homes, investment homes down in St. George, and like did everything wrong looking back now. I did everything wrong, and I over purchased furniture. I just did a lot of things wrong. It's kind of like your first rookie moves wrong. I thought, oh, I'll manage this myself. That was, by the way, probably the biggest mistake I made. And because it's very hard to do, and you all of a sudden get, you know, text messages for people that want an extra roll of paper towels at 1 a.m. and things like that. It's awesome. So anyway, I did that, and I finally kind of figured out what I was doing. And that's actually why one of the reasons I actually got my real estate license was because I started getting phone calls from people saying, hey, we want to buy a nightly rental now. What do we do? And so anyway, I've been involved for many years. Like I said, I sell them all over the state. I'm even starting to look out of the state of Utah and look at different, because like what Clay was saying earlier, just sometimes returns in Utah specifically are hard. So anyway, I do that a little bit everywhere. But for the last few years, I've kind of been asking myself, how is this going to evolve? Because Airbnb and kind of nightly rentals, VRBO, I say Airbnb, yeah, you all know what I mean, but short-term rentals, booking.com is now doing this. There's, you know, even Marriott Hotels is looking into how are we going to get involved in this space. And so for the last few years, I've been saying, okay, what's kind of this next thing? Where's this going? And if you've noticed, even during COVID, there was a big shift. And if you ask people that owned vacation homes during that time, they'll tell you this as well, that people went from kind of looking on Airbnb and saying, okay, I want kind of a, you know, an affordable, cheap place to crash when they go to St. George, to all of a sudden, and this is also with my younger people here, it's also kind of the millennials as well, where that you want more of an experience when you vacation. You want something instead of just a place to crash or something cheap. You're actually looking for something where you can have friends and family and you know, and you want something clean and nice. And so we started actually seeing how 12 years ago, when we first started doing nightly rentals, even just who we were attracting has changed over the years. And even the way we furnish it, the way we market it, everything is very different. Because even when I first started, we did this kind of like heavy Southwest look. And now we're doing kind of this fresh look, just really relaxing. So, you know, there's been a lot of changes. And like I said, even my mom and dad, this is when you know that things are evolving, is when your mom and dad, right, all of a sudden clue into something. And so my mom and dad were like, we'll never go to an Airbnb. And then all of a sudden, a few years ago during COVID, they were like, we don't want to stay at a hotel. We want to be at an Airbnb. So anyway, going kind of forward, I've been wondering, okay, how is this going to evolve? And I've been looking into fractional ownership and co-ownership. I don't like the word fractional ownership. I call it co-ownership because that's what we're talking about today. So anyway, I've looked, and this is a really funny story, but about 3 years ago, I kind of stumbled onto this company. It was actually called Savvy. And I stumbled onto it, and I said, and I looked, and they were actually in Utah. And I was like, wait a minute, this is even like down the street from me. And so anyway, then there was a name change, and it's Ember Homes. And so I've been kind of stalking them, looking at what they're doing, because I have clients that I have kind of all along the spectrum, right? You've got some people that are heavy investors. And then I've got probably, though, the majority of people that I sell to are people that are saying, I want a vacation. I want to have a piece of ownership because I want a piece of appreciating property, right? And they're saying, and I want to be able to have my family. I want to stay in this cool place. but they don't want to buy a house and then leave it empty for 11 months of the year. They may want to use it 4 to 6 weeks, but they don't want to leave it the whole time. So fractional and kind of co-ownership is the future. It's what we're heading into, because people, they don't want to buy a house down in St. George now for $1.2 million, use it for a little bit, maybe offset the cost with some of, renting. But they're kind of looking into different options. So anyway, fast forward to now, I ended up teaming up with Ember, and I said, hey, what do you have? And I'm really interested in your products, because I've seen that they're doing a lot in St. George. They also have some properties that they're moving out of state and even in Huntington Beach. But they'll be moving into other markets as well, where Utahns vacations, and also other people where they either come to vacation or where they're going to vacation. So what I want to talk about today is there's an opportunity to sell these co-ownerships, and you would be able to make 3%. So bringing your clients in, but it's a great way to sell vacation homes, because you're not having to say, hey, look at this 1.2 million one or 2 million. But hey, we can look at this amazing house. You can use it. Sometimes you can trade your weeks. You have a lot of different options. So with that, I've become very best friends with Ember, and I've been telling them how awesome our office is. I said, hey, KW is the best, but also our office specifically is amazing. So they're starting a different agent program. And this is actually like the very first kind of kickoff meeting that we're doing. So this is really exciting, and there's some extra perks involved as well. And so with that, I really want to introduce my friend, Jake Nielsen. And we have 2 people here from Ember Home. So we have Jake, and then also we have Nick Barber in the back. So, and Nick's an agent, and Jake is working on being an agent, right? So I can spill that. So anyway, I'm going to turn the time really quick to Jake, but I want to talk a little bit about what Ember is, and we're just going to kind of go back and forth, and then we'll answer some questions, and we'll go from there. But this is really exciting.
Absolutely.
Told you we were at a strat planning meeting last week. Ember was one of our people that came and visit with us for the MLS. And so what you're going to see, you'll start seeing, and we're going to be creating a whole category for fractional or for co-ownership of properties. And so it's a big deal. We know that this is a niche that's going to fit. And so it's just super excited to be here and have you guys here.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dean. I'm going to talk really loud. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, Heather was super nice. I've been chasing Heather, I feel like, for 3 months, 4 months, just saying, Heather, like, I don't know if this is appropriate or not. I just call her like the badass woman at KW. And I said, if we're going to do this, I want to do it with you, and I do it with the KW folks. Just quick background on my career. I went to BYU, graduated, moved to Dallas, Texas, and I was part of a massive accounting firm called PwC. And I spent 2 years there, and I thought, this is the worst job in the world. I just felt like as a career, like I just was on this really slow moving escalator. And it was like, oh, you want to have an impact? Well, you have to wait for 4 years, and then you get promoted, and then you wait for 8 years, and then you get promoted. And I said, through that, moved back to Utah, joined a company called Qualtrics, tech company down in Provo, and was there for almost 8 years and freaking loved it. Why did I love it? It's because it's fast. It was innovative. We sold our company for $8 billion to a German software company. And I was like, this is amazing. Left there, joined another company that just took, $400 million of funding out of the Bay Area. And they were on the same path. And I just love this idea. The co-founder of Ember is a good buddy of mine. And he called me and said, Jake, this disruption that you're used to doing in the enterprise software space, we're about to do in the real estate world. Why don't you come jump on? Let's go see what we can do. And I said, hey, I'm in. So there's only one caveat to this. That one caveat is if you do not find a way to strategically work with brokers in the agent community, I'm out. Because if we roll Homey 2.0 and they're filing for bankruptcy and doing some crazy stuff, I was like, I'm out of this. So our CEO and our founders come in was, Jake, you basically do whatever you want, but with the caveat of we're going to make the agent experience awesome. So with that, we reached out to Heather and I said, Heather, I have some crazy ideas. Do you want to do them? And she said, hey, if you're crazy enough to work with each other, let's do it. And again, we're not doing this with everybody. We're doing this with 3 brokerages. We're launching it here. We're going to make sure that we just have a phenomenal experience with you. Of how do we bring this relatively new concept of co-ownership to the broader kind of masses within Utah. I don't know how you want to go, how do you change the slides? Let me just talk really briefly about what the model is. It's not super complex. There are nuances with it. What we do is we buy homes in an LLC, and then we sell 1/8 membership of that LLC. What is the cost? We mark it up 10 to 12%, and we divide it by 8. So every one of our buyers knows exactly what they're buying, what the fees are, what the cost structure looks like. We charge a monthly fee just to manage our mobile application, to do scheduling, and then the home, like, how do you deal with expenses? You divide those by 8. There's no pass-through cost. Like the most straightforward and simple model. I heard Clay say, we buy $4 million homes, at a much more affordable price. That's right. I think what's unique about us is we have condos, we have townhomes, we have iconic properties in St. George and in Huntington Beach. And people just love this idea of you can stay 45 to 47 nights out of the year. You don't have to worry about the maintenance, the homeowner's insurance, the property management, just everything that goes along with managing a secondary home. We just take care of all of it. We've been around for about 2 years. We have 130 different families in our homes across here in California. About how we operate our business. That's kind of where the model came out of. We don't do it with yachts or houseboats yet. Let's call it Ember 2.0. Yachts, airplanes, yachts. Yeah, yachts. It's really common in airplanes, though, honestly. Like co-ownership for airplanes is really typical. Just haven't moved over to real estate.
And just jumping in really quick, I wanted to jump in. I also
actually good.
believe that we're gonna see co-ownership in the primary market eventually. You heard that here first, but I'm just telling you that it is how some of your, if you look at kind of your younger buyers, I even have one right now. They do not want one home, they want 2 smaller homes in 2 different locations. And so this is something that is going to be tackled. And like I said, we're in this kind of what I was telling Jake this the other day, I said, we are in the infancy of this. So imagine if you would have been involved back in like the early days of Airbnb, but this is really a new concept. We're educating the public still, we're educating realtors, but I mean, this is here to stay. We're seeing it and it's becoming more popular.
I love it. Yeah, we've noted that the prediction.
Yes.
Sorry,
She
question.
predicted the App Store, so just.
Hey, that's another story.
Did you do one of these in Desert Color?
That's us.
Yeah.
That's that big giant one?
That is us. Yeah. We own 10% of the short-term rental property and real estate in Desert Color. So it's been great because we partner with developers and as they're rolling out developments, they're thinking, hey, why don't we just carve out a section for co-ownership? We have a phenomenal relationship with the Clyde Group, who's the developer down there.
But did somebody just buy the whole thing on that giant one? I heard one buyer just came in and said, I want it all.
Not in one of our homes. We got a couple of investment properties, like investment groups that are looking at our properties, but not our homes. All right, good.
Just for everyone here, briefly explain what co-ownership means. I know that we're getting really busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. You want to tackle that? Yeah, I mean, so the term co-ownership, I mean, you share the home, you share in the expenses. That's probably the simplest definition, right? All of the things that you would think about what's really hard to split, we handle that from homeowners insurance to sending out K1 to our owners at the end of the year to accounting. I mean, I don't know if I'm a simple person. That's how I kind of interpret it. It's just like, I just show up and use my home. When I leave, Ember takes care of everything and the next owner comes in. I would say, sorry, the next slide probably clarifies this a little bit more.
It's since it's a PDF. Trav, you just wanna, I got my. Swipe, yeah.
Sorry, go one more. This is a good call because we have 2 different products. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I'll talk about the 2 products because there are some of my clients, for example, that they do not want to ever nightly rent it out. Like they just say, I want 8 weeks a year. I don't mind sharing with other people the home, but they just basically want that. They want to lock it up. They want to go down and use it themselves. So we call that kind of the Ember, I call it the Ember traditional model because that's how it started originally. So there is that model right here, which is called the Ember Limited or traditional. And then also they now are purchasing homes like he was mentioning at Desert Color that are in nightly rental zones. And so those are great for some of my, I call them pseudo investors that they want to maybe own and use it, but they don't know if they can use maybe 7 or 8 weeks a year. That's a big commitment. They may say, hey, we want to use like maybe 3 weeks. And so then they can actually put it into a pool and Ember does that for you. So Ember would then have it on Airbnb or it being rented. So then that way they are getting money back. They're actually getting some of their investment back by when they rent it. So it's kind of a great opportunity for people and people that are just looking to invest, but they're saying, hey, I'm not sure how I want to use it. And that's the Flex program. So again, so there's kind of that Ember traditional and there's the Ember Flex. The reason we do the Flex one, it usually, especially in St. George, as a lot of you know, St. George is very strict on nightly rentals and where you can have nightly rentals. So that's why there's that Flex product. Those are usually homes that are in an area or they have to be properly permitted to have that. So those are the 2 products, but I actually have clients that are interested in both. And in fact, one of them I'm working with right now, he's like, you know, I don't even know if I really care to rent it. He's like, I'll just either use it or I might have like my son use it or something the other weeks, but he's fine with that. So it's great to be able, and both of them, by the way, still we pay the 3% to realtors. So if you're bringing someone in and then we also help with that.
For the Ember Flex, is Ember the one that's actually managing it and doing all that for you? So basically you just buy it and then they take care of everything and cut your checks.
Exactly.
That's nice.
Yeah, so they're doing all of that. And then you would just get a check in the mail, basically, you know, or deposit from that. Good question.
So do you guys do mortgages on that 8th portion of the property, or is it only like payment?
Oh, yeah. Finance.
Good question. Okay, maybe I'll turn that over back to you, but
Yeah, the mortgage product is interesting and it's structured a little bit differently. We can finance our homes in California. There's not a financing product here for in Utah. We've got some other options. We partner with a couple of HELOC like lenders that have HELOC products that are basically putting your social security number and they pull the housing estimate from Zillow, instant approval, and they can fund in like 4 or 5 days. So traditionally, it's like a HELOC product for Utah right now. But again, it's interesting terms because that product is still 5, 7, 10, and 30-year loans. So getting pretty traditional, but we can roll that out with more questions as they come out.
well, and we're still working on other financing options. So it's like I said, just remember, this is still a fairly new product. So right now, people are still kind of understanding. They're like, well, wait, what's a co-ownership and who owns it? So we are working with other banks and other lending kind of institutions. So there will be options. And I would say even within the next few months. So it's a great question though.
Heather, on your Ember Flex program, do some of your investors, or I won't say all, some of your investors, when they buy their 1/8 ownership, do they get a return on their investment? I mean, obviously they do get some money back. I put $300,000 down and on other places, maybe if I use $300,000, I'm getting $1,000 a month return or so. Are they making money off?
It's hard to kind of quantify, I mean, because that's a really good question. I would say it kind of depends on the week, right? You know, like if they have the week of, let's say, fall break down in St. George, I mean, that's a week that people have to stay in Cedar City. to come and
Okay,
visit
all right,
me,
so
you know?
you're telling me the house itself isn't a 100% Airbnb necessarily, even though it's in the nightly rental pool. And so all 8 people don't agree that, hey, I'll reserve my nights when I want to reserve my nights, and I understand that I'll get a return, but 8 of us bought this, 8 of us want it leased out 365 days out of the year, so we can maximize our return. That isn't really it, right?
Right, well, and so just to kind of clarify that, a lot of times I even have clients that buy homes in a nightly rental zone just because they know that there's a higher return or that there's, you know, that people will then eventually also want to like resell. As far as the resale on it is actually really great as well. So even if people are, you know, renting or buy it, but they have that flexibility to be able to rent or, you know, put it in the rental pool or use it. So,
The quickest way to think about it is if you're one of our owners of Flex, you have 6 or 7 weeks out of the year to use the house, right? You get to choose, do I want to stay in it myself or do I want to rent it out? If you just said it's a pure investment play, I'm going to rent it out all 6 or 7 weeks, yes, you'll make money, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you will.
I get that.
If you're like, hey, I'm going to rent it out for 2 of the weeks and stay in it for 4, you're not gonna make your full return back because you just got a 4 week vacation, right? But what we've kind of penciled in, it's like usually 4 and 2, stay in at 4, rent at 2, and you basically cover your costs every year.
Well, and one thing I want to jump in at
Thank you,
too
that's
is,
Yeah.
well, and even with the homes that people rent, what I've seen is a trend, because I follow a lot of my clients' homes. I like to see how they're renting. One thing that's interesting is the larger the home usually, the more money and the larger the return. Because and that's one reason some people are coming into this, because they're saying, hey, I can't buy a $4 million home in Huntington Beach, but I can buy a share of that, right? But the returns are great because you have like corporate retreats, you have family reunions, you have different events, and they come in, they pay top dollar. I love it when I have that. Because like I have a 5-bedroom, 5-bath. My 5-bedroom, 5-bath rents more than a lot of times a 3-bedroom. Because your 3-bedroom is gonna target one family or maybe like a family and just a few kids or something. But the other is gonna be like a 2-family, or we call it 3-generation. And so you've got to remember that. But just with that being said, if your investors, a lot of the investors actually like these larger homes, but then the ones that are looking at the traditional products, the way I would kind of target your own clients, or the ones that just want a vacation home even, and are saying, hey, I want just something, I'm not sure, because there's going to be options where they could then trade it and use other weeks, maybe in other locations, like one of the locations, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but we're looking at other locations outside of Utah also. And I think in the next little while, we'll see places like Maui and Orlando, come on board. And then imagine how awesome that would be to be able to then have opportunities to trade and use other places as well.
Yeah, sorry, no, go Mike.
Is the LLC set up between the 8 owners, or is it set up through and with Ember?
Set up with the 8 owners. So one LLC of the umbrella, and then we just need 1/8 ownership as part of the LLC structure. I know you could, yeah, each home has its LLC. You can, yes, we always get, can the LLC bind to the LLC? Yes. Can you have multiple friends and family going into 1/8 share of the home? Yes. Oftentimes we have parents and kids kind of combining and pooling their investment to go buy 1/8. That's super common for us. It's a legal document. We put your name on it and they sign it and it's done.
Just to clarify really quick, as of today, it's cash only, but you're working on financing. for that.
Yeah, we can do HELOCs and we kind of help we help that process, one of our partners.
But
5-day
for
close.
California homes, we actually do have a national investor. It's First Republic Bank. It's a legitimate bank, legitimate product. They only underwrite for Southern California though. So if we're looking for another partner that should, be able to come in and access that. But our product works very similar to a HELOC loan. So it's going to be always competitive with that type of market.
Yeah.
Talk loud. If you don't have the microphone, just no. No, it's scattered. So it's a little bit different scheduling between the flex and the limited. Some of the high level differences, if you're limited, you could stay in your home for 14 days at a time. If it's flex, you get it from Tuesday to Tuesday, so 7 days a week. And then we just do a super thoughtful draft on, we basically prioritize the most rentable weeks versus the least likely to rent weeks. And every owner just gets an equitable portion throughout that. And again, it's a whole process on, hey, I want this week, and how do I swap weeks with somebody else, or how do I prioritize this? Just the big takeaway is like, it's super thoughtful for everybody, and every owner like sees it, and then the deeper they get, they're like, oh, it makes a ton of sense. And it's all run through the app.
Yeah, it changes every year. So we kind of draft out 2 years in advance. So if you really want Thanksgiving next year or 2 years, you can get Thanksgiving. The downside of that is like, you don't get another holiday until you use your holiday. We just have a bunch of rules that are baked in place. And, owners look at them and they're like, they feel like they're maybe being scrutinized 1 year, but we make up for the next year.
So if I can't afford an Ember home, is there a fantasy home that I can choose weeks with nine?
Right? It's funny you say that though, because we hear that a lot of like, we can't afford a vacation home. I don't blame you. Like, you can't buy a condo in St. George right now that you can rent for like less than 1.2 million. That's why I love the company. It's because our idea was like 2% of Utahns own a vacation home. Like, our whole mission is to take that from 2% to 40%. Like, how do you get to 40%? Well, you got to come way down market, right? You got to be able to offer, homes for less than 100 grand. And then you obviously have, the affluent pool that willing to buy premium properties. So that's why I love us. We've got $100,000 condos that are in desert color that are rentable, or you can go spend you know, $750,000 with us in Newport Beach should be on the peninsula. I just don't. I love traveling with my kids and my family. I'm like, I'm so tired of like paying stupid fees to go borrow things and sit through Marriott time here at Newport Beach. I said, nah, I'm done with this. So Ember's been awesome to help people just realize their dream. Yeah.
After you buy your 1H share, at what point can you start using it? Can you wait
Instantly.
until-
Instantly.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on the house. The house isn't finished, you can't use it, but for our existing homes, if it's not booked,
So you just have it, if you're the only one, you're the only one season it until the other 7 are.
yeah, use it. I mean, you get, you know, if
You're
you're,
a certain amount of days and everything. but
yeah. So, and you buy
do
it,
you
you
have
use
like a
it.
priority over your days, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're the first buyer, like you have priority in how you schedule it, right? At least for the first year, and then the second year, like again, it goes equitable again, right? That's the thing, like, you're not buying into a timeshare, it's your house, like, you own the property. Like, we're just facilitating the structure of it and the scheduling, so, you know, if you don't want to buy a vacation home, you can't use it for next year, it's like, there's no fun in that. Buy it and use it the next day. Go ahead.
I just wanted to confirm, how much time do you think you would have to rent it out if we usually bus plan?
Every product's a little different, so I'm gonna be careful like how I pitch this. Generally speaking, it's like you can stay in it for two stays. And if you rent it out the other 4, you basically break even every year. Some of our houses are a little more, some of them are less, but generally speaking, that's pretty dang close.
I've got just 2 quick questions. Do you guys do this for commercial as well, or only residential?
Just residential at the moment.
Just residential, okay, and then are you allowed to own more than 1 share as the years go on?
Yeah.
Purchase.
Yeah.
Or is there a limit?
Yeah, half. We'll buy up to half though, unless you wanna buy the
When you
whole.
buy up front, we limit it to half, but let's say 5 years down the road, you got some people that wanna sell, do something different, buy into their home in Maui that they want now. You can actually buy their shares and eventually you could own the entire product.
And when you say commercial residential, I just wanted to define it a little bit, because right now it's not in the primary market as far as like a primary home yet. But right, what we're talking about is like a vacation, home, right? So
Yeah.
just to be clear. Okay, good. Well, and one of the things that's surprising to me that I just want to throw in here too is who is buying, right? Because it's not just people, it's some of them are very wealthy that just say, I have no time to manage a vacation home. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with any type of, you know, issues at all. They're just like, this is an easy, like one touch button to vacationing, right? So we have everyone that are very wealthy, but then also, like Jake was saying, sometimes it's a family that's just saying, hey, like 2 brothers that are going in and saying, hey, let's divide up those weeks and let's do this together. And then that way you can use these weeks for your family, I can use them for mine. And so it's actually appealing. What I think is really interesting is it's actually kind of all over, right? It appeals to all markets because everyone vacations, right? And so instead of just throwing your money away, you actually have some property that you can hold and over time it'll appreciate. And then we can like go as like, just so you know, like we're going to have eventually like this Ember Club. So that's what we want to kind of chat with you about as well. And at the end of the meeting, we'll talk to you about it. But that's when we can go into really like the deep dives on a lot of questions and, you know, you can see how everything works and schedules as well. And so that's why we're doing that as well for realtors, because we want you to be able to be so knowledgeable on this and that it's easy to sell as well.
Go ahead.
Like timeshares and all this stuff, are there like, what's the fine print? Is there maintenance fees that can go up over time? Stuff like that, unknowns, where people are gonna go, crap, I wish I wouldn't have got into this, or.
Yeah, we're so open with all of our buyers. We do have fees. We have like a reserve fee that just goes to, hey, if someone just natural wear and tear on carpet every 7 years, we have to replace the carpets. Everybody just buys into that. The more you ask questions, the more just the light bulbs go off for everybody. Like we hate timeshares. We hate the timeshare model. So some people say that we're a timeshare. We've actually worked with the Real Estate Standards Board to have timeshares and co-ownership separate at the highest levels of the residential definition categories. So like we can go really deep. Like we send all of our buyers all of our operating agreements. Like the quick punchy statement is now all of our fees are on our website and we don't ever charge more. If owners want different experiences or different amenities in their home, we put it up to a vote, and if, you know, majority of vote, then we put those amenities in, whether it's, we want paddle boards and surfboards in our Newport Beach houses, and we didn't initially include them. Right, you get a majority vote, great, we put them in, we do all the billing, and then we just do all the maintenance off of those.
In that case, we share the cost with
Yeah.
our owner.
Share all the costs.
If property tax goes up 1 year, guess what? You only pay 1/8 of that increase. If utilities go up, 1/8 of the increase. So you're actually offsetting your total cost of ownership by 87%. Then when you add in a layer of flex to be able to offset, what do your buyers come to you and say? They say, hey, I want a second home, but I can't justify it unless I can rent it out. If I can recuperate some of the costs. Now we have an option at 100 grand, you know, that's pretty incredible.
How long will we be taxing?
Yeah, so we do all the taxes. We pay the taxes and then we just,
Like,
yeah, so for that, we send you a K1 at the end of the year and you file your own business taxes, or we have a partner that will do it for you. So you can, so for on taxes, all the benefits of owning properties, you realize the same benefit here. Depreciation for the mileage you spent, using the home, the time that you spent, the fees, all that's tax deductible, and we put it all in the K1 for you.
But there's also, like, just to be clear, there's also monthly fees, but that's like, you know, for utilities, but it's all divided up 8 ways, right? So it's like, you know, because you're buying the piece of ownership, but there's just costs that naturally come with ownings, which is, you know, which are going to be, you know,
Full maintenance, HOA,
full maintenance,
all set.
HOA, things like that. But they're very transparent. One of the reasons that I really like Ember is because they're very transparent in the fees. So kind of going to your question, they're not just, you know, if you're buying into a, like a Marriott timeshare, for example, you know, they have full control of what they're doing. Ownership fees go up. What I like about Ember is they're saying, hey, here's the actual fees of the house. This is what's being charged. And so they're very transparent about everything. It's not, you know, they're not saying, oh, we're gonna give ourselves, you know, this extra fee that you aren't anticipating.
And the greatest part about it is, once Ember sells out, we just become the property manager.
Yeah.
So who are we trying to take care of? It's the ownership group, and they tell us what to do. So if things are too high, or they want to cut back, maybe they don't want to heat the pool in January and February and have $1,000 a month heating bill. They get to decide that, the owners do, so we just fulfill that.
You know, the upside of this is truly revolutionary. I have been in the vacation home business only, you know, and paying the price to own. And everyone here has a tax accountant. Go and ask your tax accountant if he thinks a vacation rental is a good purchase and if there will be return on it. I would say 99 out of 100 tax accountants will say, I have other clients that have them, always been a bad idea. Ember is gonna change the world.
Yep, I agree. Thank you.
No, I'm
I agree too, because
just-
you know, it really.
Get him on the-
I own vacation homes too, and I mean, when you look at the end of the year, like I was just looking at what I spent this year.
Yeah.
Just in kind of in the weeks that we're not using it and things, because there's so much to manage. And life is getting busier for everyone, that we don't have time, and especially successful people or a lot of our clients, they're like, I don't have time to manage all of these little things. And so like Nick was saying, Ember becomes the management company of that house, which is so amazing and so nice. And one other thing I wanted to mention real quick is, let's say, like I have a client right now, he's gonna be buying in and he's actually deciding on 1 or 2 shares because he can do that, right? And so he's deciding if he wants to buy 1 share or 2 shares of this house. And one of the things is he said, I'm probably gonna actually move to St. George in 2 or 3 years. So what would I do in that case? And so what he can do is he actually comes down and he says, hey, I want to now roll, like maybe sell these to someone else and then, you know, purchase in it like Bear Lake or something, or Moab or wherever. Then he would be able to do that and be able to, then they would sell those 2 shares. And so it's a great opportunity for you to just kind of be in. It's like what we talked about with first time homebuyers. You need to be in the market, right? So, you know, it's like you can wait on the sidelines for so long and then you go, oh, maybe I should have done that differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went to Wealthy West. I have 3 kids. I got 7, 5, and a 3-year-old. My 3-year-old just a little, what's the right word?
Spirited.
Spirited. I'm gonna use the other rest. I was gonna use the other rest. Like, it's so nice with my kids. I can show up with these Ember homes. They're just done. Like, it's just, I don't like, it's so easy. Just like I don't deal with the pool maintenance and the heating and all that. So whether you've got a ton of money or honestly, a lot of our buyers are just starting this journey in parenthood and then a career and things. And they said, I just want to spend time with a ton of my kids. And we're seeing a ton of people buy with us through that, but.
because you own properties in Garden City, St. George, Newport.
Yeah.
If I owned one in Garden City, could I swap time with somebody down in?
Yes, not yet. We're working on that. It feels a little bit like of a timeshare when we start to do that instead of real ownership. When we get enough owners in the next, let's call it year, that we're willing to like kind of float their weeks in different parts of the world, we'll kind of put it up for a vote, but currently not, we don't have a structure yet.
And one more question about how it's taxed. Is it taxed as a second home or is it rental property? In Utah, it's a penalty to have a second home.
It is taxed as a second home
Second.
for limited and as an income property for flex. So, but you're sharing that with the other owners. And with the flex product, it's incredible because you're offsetting so much of that income that you're generating. Your operating tax, write it off. Like Jake said, driving down there, you can write it off. Anytime you visit the property, you can write it off, you know, all these different expenses. Plus, we work with an accounting firm called Prodigy. And they have some incredible recommendations for this product with accelerated depreciation. And then just to maximize a lot of those expenses that you're paying. So, I mean, it's pretty unbelievable when you start calculating those tax incentives on $100,000 property, when you can get a $25,000 write-off on your first year. So I'm not a tax guy, don't take me to the word for that, but if you want more information on the tax, we can get that. Great question.
So let's do one thing, because again, I've been pushing Heather on Heather. Like, you've got this incredible 12-year experience with short-term rentals, vacation home in Utah. How do we use that and create this kind of club to go, hopefully make everybody a lot of money?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the club a little bit?
Yep, so we're going to form the Ember Club here at KW. And what that is it's basically like we'll have some meetings occasionally. I'm not one of those that's going to have a meeting, just to have a meeting. Like, we'll have good content, food, fun. We're all in this for fun, right? Fun and money too, right? So, but what I wanted to talk about was just basically, we're going to have this club here, and we'd love for everyone here to become, we call it Ember Certified. It's like a 5-minute, is it about 5-10 minute training?
Yeah.
It's just really quick
Short.
online. It's gonna be short. We're gonna give you the link. As soon as you finish that and you just commit to talking to, like, what do we have? We decided the 30-day,
Yep.
talking to 30 people about it. We're gonna get you like some really cool swag. We're gonna get you like a swag bag. And then we're going to also have incentives. Like, some of the times we're gonna go down and tour some of the homes as well. Like, if you would like to go and see them, we're gonna give away stays. Like, if you sell one, you're gonna be able to go into a drawing where we're gonna be able to then, you know, you could use one of these amazing homes down in St. George for a week. So I'm like, we're gonna have fun. Like, we're gonna have, like, you know, Jake's a lot of fun, so is Nick. So I'm like, you know, this is gonna be amazing. We're even giving away some St. George parade tickets. This is going to be, the reason this is so interesting, like Bart mentioned. And just remember, again, you're in this preemie newborn phase of what we're gonna see with co-ownership in the future. And so what I wanna say about that is that you're right now kind of at this front end. And when Ember will have a home in the parade of homes. So as most of you know, the parade down in St. George is a big deal. People come from other states to attend. So when they go through, there's a home that they have this year that we're gonna be educating the public on what Ember is, what they do, and we're gonna be flooded. If you join Ember Club, also, we're gonna need like people to also follow up on some of these referrals that we get from the parade and from other, you know, ways. So we're gonna be, anybody that's invested in Ember and really kind of pushing it as well, like as far as, you know, educating the public and your clients, you're going to also get some benefits as well. So it's going to be fun. And then, you know, we're really versed on it. Do I know everything? No, because this is still like just, it's an awesome thing. But Nick has been amazing, and Jake to work with. And so we're going to make sure you have all the support and help you need in order to sell this, because this is also a great way to make 3%. By the way, that's only for KW agents, KW Westfield. I negotiated something with Jake and I said, hey, we're gonna do 3%. Everyone else is gonna get 2.5 at other brokerages. But I said, hey, we gotta take care of my good friends here. So
It's all true. So we're paying more, limited for the Premier Club. As Heather mentioned, I like to party. I think some of the other assets we're bringing is like our other co-founder was the chief marketing officer of Vivint, and he was a senior vice president at Nike. Like, he's willing to come in and just create specific content for this group plus master classes on how to market to different audiences, because he's amazing. I know we're at time. Let me just we're gonna make an investment in this group because of Heather, right? Because of Clay and Johnny. If you're interested in joining this group, it's not gonna be a lot of your time, but I promise you it's gonna be impactful on your business. Sure, if you're interested, feel free to scan the QR code, or I'm sure we can send out a link.
Yeah, but we'll also post it on Facebook, but, here, I'll kind of sit down this way, but, just know, like I said, we just want to make sure that you have what you need to be successful. We're gonna bring in guests also, like he said, and we're gonna be able to provide a high value to you as well. Nothing to join the Ember Club, there's no fees, nothing. I just want to make sure that you all have the ability to be in and doing this at an early phase, because I truly believe you're going to see in the next few years, people are gonna be like, wow, I just heard of this cool thing called, co-ownership. So you're gonna be in early and understanding it first, so you can be the market experts as well. So,
So whatever, when you wanna sell, or how, you just have a requirement for how long we have to be in there?
The only requirement is we have to sell out the house first, and then you can sell. We just don't want to compete with our owners on how to sell the house. You call us, say, hey, I'm ready to sell the house. We do it all for you, do the listing, put it on the MLS, email all of our owners and say, this house is for sale. Pretty straightforward process. And if you sell for more than you make it, so you buy it for 100,000, you sell it for 175, you keep the money.
But what if the other seven don't sell?
no, they don't have to. Everyone can sell at different times.
Okay.
So, because you're not.
But you would just sell
selling
your
the
portion.
house.
I can send my own question.
Absolutely.
Donuts, right?
And where do we?
It's online. You go to Ember Home. They all pull up. We'll send a link out that has.
I'll send out
our
also,
inventory too.
we'll send out kind of the existing inventory, because right now we have some existing inventory. And we're getting some new things all the time, like we just opened, one in Park City. And then there will be some, like I said, in other markets that are coming on board as well. So I would sign up for the Ember updates online, at their website. And then also, like I said, just join the Ember Club. I'm gonna be in touch with you, so you'll be talking to me and Travis quite a bit. And then, like I said, we're gonna have these amazing kind of opportunities, and just to make sure that you all understand it as well and can sell it. So, yeah.
So
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
So one, how are you finding your home? And second, like, if Heather had this fabulous listing in Park City, would she come to you and say, hey, I got you a house?
Yes. Can you pause that question for like a week?
But
Okay.
We'll get back to you. Like we're piling with Heather.
We
Yeah.
can. You come to me, like if you have one, and there are some specifics that, but we're willing to look at some, and that's another way for you to sell some of your listings that may be sitting right now, like if you have a luxury property, or even if it's just something that is interesting, and like I said, newer, or new, is almost always one of the criterias. And like I said, but kind of run it by me, but send me something. And then on some of them, like I'm talking to an owner down in St. George right now who, they're not in any huge hurry to sell because they have rentals happening. So it actually is a really great fit for them, because they're like, hey, we're good with just kind of holding on to it until you sell it, right? Because they're still making money, they're still Airbnb-ing it. And so there's ways that we can make that a pretty smooth transition, and then you would be paid, like if you're the selling agent, on that as well. So if you have certain properties, definitely come. If it's come and talk to us. If it's an 80-year-old house in Provo, probably not, but but that's probably not gonna work. But anyway, so just know that they are looking into that as well. So I'll be just come and chat with me.
So I'm a numbers person. How could I show that this is a good investment to my clients with like numbers?
Yeah, we can send you an email with all of our property specific breakdown,
Okay.
fees, property management, rental history. We just we're pretty regulated on how we can do things. So we have a separate company that does all that, and I can send it to you.
Okay.
And